Welcome to the Retirement Roadmap Show. I'm your host, Dave Nagy. And in the studio, we've got my good friend, wonderful person, all around amazing personality, Tony Shore. How are you, Tony?
I am great. Well, thanks for that great introduction. And David, you're the star of the show. Everyone knows it. And before the show today, I've drank about 40 cups of coffee just so I can keep up with you on the show. You guys, for our listeners and viewers, you have no idea. I mean, David is so full of energy. I have to read books and drink coffee on the outside just to keep up with him on the show. It's amazing. But we have fun here each week, and I've been good. I've been really busy. My wife and I just got back from a trip to Atlanta. We went down for my daughter's graduation from Delta Flight Attendant Training
Oh,
and
cool.
Academy. Let me tell you, I have a new respect for flight attendants, especially Delta. Supposedly, they're the best
Yeah.
and the hard. They have the hardest training. 7 weeks, 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, and you have to get above a
Wow.
90%.
Wow.
200,000 applicants for the job.
Yeah.
They narrow it down to about 185. I don't know how they do that. They have to narrow it down, I'm sure, to get and then you get an interview, and the interview process weeds out some more when you get the in-person. Then they fly you down for the in-person. They weed out some more there. Then the ones who make it through, it's about 180, and only 70% of those make it through the training.
Wow.
Yeah. And they have to learn everything about every plane, every type of plane, every model of plane, the doors, how everything works.
Good.
They have to go through all this survival training. She had to jump out of a plane into water. She has to do all
Nice.
this stuff. It's amazing.
That's
I
great.
really we're
Makes
quite
me
proud
feel
as
better about flying.
it does, and I'm quite proud as a parent. She
Yes,
really
as you should be.
she did it on her own. And guess what? Here's the real perk, David. Mom and dad get to fly for free anywhere Delta flies on standby, but we fly
Wow.
anywhere for free that
I
Delta
would do
flies.
that every day and twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I like
So,
Atlanta. Atlanta's a beautiful city. We
yeah,
were
it
there.
is. I wouldn't want to live there because the South
No.
moves a little slower than I'm accustomed
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
and the drivers aren't so great. But I'll tell you what, nice people, great. We got to see
Yeah.
tour Delta's headquarters and facilities, and then we also we toured Chick-fil-A's headquarters, which is probably the most beautiful, extensive corporate campus I've ever seen in my life. It's
Wow.
like set in the middle of it looks like a national forest or state park.
Wow.
You park and then you walk through these trails, huge, tall, beautiful green trees,
Wow.
just amazing. And the guy Truitt who started has a car collection in there. He has a Batmobile from Batman Returns
Oh,
movie. He has all these
cool.
old
I
cars.
love Batmobiles. So
Yeah.
we were in Atlanta last year for Ed Slott's lead advisor
Oh
group.
yeah, Ed Slott is
Yeah,
great.
and we met a bunch of the Delta trainees that had just graduated.
Oh wow.
And me and a couple of our colleagues, they said, "Hey, do you want to?" We said, "Do you want us to take a picture of you?" So they all lined up on the stairs, and we took a picture of them. It was like 450 of them.
Yeah.
And then they said, "You guys get in," and they took a picture with us in the middle of their group,
Oh,
and
that's
it was
awesome.
so much fun. They were such a great group of people. But anyway, I
Yeah.
digress.
Yeah, Delta's a good company to work
Yeah,
for. I mean, if
yeah.
you read up, they're the highest paying of any airline. They're the rated the best out of all the airlines. They're
One of my
fantastic.
favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, mine as well. And of course, it helps. I'm from Minnesota, and Minneapolis is a hub, one of
Yeah.
their major hubs, of course, along with Atlanta. But yeah, there's fun things to do in Atlanta. But you mentioned Ed Slott. Speaking of taxes.
Yeah.
And the IRS, that guy's an expert. And I know you
Yeah.
have studied under Ed and gone to a lot of his workshops and seminars. I've interviewed Ed quite a few times
Yeah.
on different radio shows. He is fantastic.
Great team to work with. Yeah. We
Yeah.
go to their training twice a year, and we work with them very closely for a lot of our clients. Yep.
I think that's great that you do that.
Yeah.
And I admire you, David. You're always keeping the knowledge fresh, staying on top of this for our listeners, viewers, and for your clients. Speaking of that, these new Trump accounts.
Yeah.
Um,
Good
uh,
segue.
yeah, well, I've heard of the Trump account. I'm like, hey, he's giving people $1,000 in an account. Sounds good.
Mhm.
But let's talk about that. It's for people. It's for people born within a certain time period. This is part of the big beautiful bill, right?
Part of the big beautiful bill. Yeah.
Right.
And if your child is born after January 1st of 2025, they can participate.
Yep.
If they're born before 2025, they can still participate, but you have to be careful, right? So this can be a real trap for families. And what we're seeing is a lot of grandparents are now wanting to contribute to these Trump accounts, but you have to be careful. So it's brand new. It's a tax deferred savings vehicle for kids. So for those of you that haven't heard about it, brand new. Contributions start July 4th of 2026, but people are already making mistakes. And so, yeah, we got to be careful. So in plain English, it's a tax deferred account for children. There's a government incentive, $1,000 contribution potential. We can start opening these up July 4th. But it sounds great, but you got to be careful because the devil's always in the details, isn't it, Tony?
Yeah, it sounds great on paper or when you hear somebody say that. Just to clarify, though, you mentioned contributions can start on July 4th, 2026.
Yep.
But it's for children born January of last year, 2025, and
Correct.
later and
Yep.
on. So let's dig into this. Is this like a 529 plan? Is this going to be money for college, or is this something totally different?
It's similar to a 529, but it's designed more for flexible retirement or future money, right? So it's not tied specifically to college accounts. And the basic structure is it's tax deferred. It's designed for children, but only one account per child.
Sure.
Where a 529 plan, you can have multiple accounts.
Yes.
And you'll see, parents, grandparents, even great grandparents,
Right.
each owning a separate 529 for the same child, right?
Yeah, we had that happen.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law had a 529 for our kids, and then we had one as well.
Yeah. So these are different, right? It's a custodial account, the 529, and it's less tax efficient than the Trump account, right?
Okay.
So it could be a very powerful tool, Tony, but it's got to be used correctly, right?
Sure. Yeah. So the taxes situation is a little bit different, and we'll get into that. But who should actually be looking at this? Would it be who should be looking at this and considering this as an option? Would it be parents primarily or grandparents?
Well, so there is a hierarchy, right? And this is where people get tripped up. So we got to be careful. If you want to open a Trump account, there's a hierarchy, right? So parents have the primary account opening, right? So typically the parent's going to open the account.
Yeah.
But they have to have primary legal and financial responsibility for the child. So if the parent opens the account, then the grandparent cannot open one. But if there is no parent, right? Let's say the parents have passed away or there's a legal guardian. So now if there's a legal guardian, they can step in and have the court recognize authority over the child, and they can open the account.
Sure.
If there's no parent or no legal guardian, then an adult sibling can act next, but only if there's no parent or legal guardian. And then if none of those three open an account, then the grandparent, but they're last in line, and they can only step in if none of the above is available, which is where most people get tripped up, right? Because grandparents, they want to help out their grandchildren and they want to open these accounts. And what's happening, Tony, is these grandparents are just jumping in and opening accounts, but they may not even be allowed to open the account. So, and then there's complications about birth date rule, right? So if the child is born after January 1st, 2025, the grandparent can only act if the child is their dependent.
Right.
If the child is born before 2025, the grandparent is not likely authorized.
Yeah.
If there is a parent, a guardian, or adult sibling in line ahead of them.
Yeah. So there are some rules as usual with these types of accounts, especially where there's a financial incentive offered by the government. You have to jump through hoops, and there's lots of rules.
Yeah.
Anything that's government related or IRS related, we've gotten used to that, I guess, or yeah, I guess you never get fully used to it. So what else what's another issue we need to be aware of?
Well, one of the problems that we're seeing now with the grandparents is they're opening these accounts and they're signing without reading, and they're creating perjury, and
Wow.
so they have to make sure, and this is really important for those grandparents out there cannot be a higher priority person available.
Right. Otherwise, they have to sign something under penalty of perjury.
Yeah, that says they are the primary custodian for the
Yeah, and
child,
if
and
they
there's no
sign
parent.
saying that and they're not,
They're creating
then
perjury.
then that's
And
not
and the IRS
good.
doesn't care, Tony. They don't they don't care if you did it accidentally,
Yeah.
right? The
So
IRS.
it's if no higher priority person is quote unquote available, but
Yes.
the IRS probably doesn't clearly define all this,
They
does it?
don't, and that's the problem. And unfortunately, today a lot of people, they don't read the fine print.
Oh
The-
yeah, who does these
n-
days?
no.
Because there's fine print with everything. I mean,
Yeah.
pages of it, right?
Yeah. So some of the things you want to discuss with your clients, and this is something that we do for our clients. So,
Yeah.
if you need help or you're not sure, give us a call, 619-460-9433. Schedule a meeting with my team and I, and we'll talk about, is there a parent that exists but is uninvolved? Is there a sibling or a guardian?
Mhm.
And we need to figure out, whether or not there's communication breakdown here. And if there is, we need to be careful if we're going to move forward and you're a grandparent or a sibling or guardian. So, you got to start thinking, yeah, you could think you're helping your grandchild, but technically by signing something inaccurately, you could be
Yeah.
creating a big problem.
Yeah. Yeah, so, grandma could accidentally commit perjury even though they're just trying to help out their grandkid.
Yeah, and
That's
it's
terrible.
it's scary,
Yeah.
right? And so we got to make sure it makes sense and it's done right. We want to coordinate with the family.
Yep.
It's got to be a parent-led strategy.
Right.
And it works good for people that have high income families looking for tax deferral.
Yeah.
So it's a great opportunity. You just got to make sure you're doing it right.
Well, sure. Sure, and, I just think that, you gotta do it when it makes sense, work with a financial professional like yourself. What are some other things we should note about this?
Well, again, if you're a grandparent and you want to do this, just don't do it in isolation. You need to coordinate it with the family.
Yep.
You need to figure out who's going to open it, because only one person can open it.
Yep.
And you may not be able to open it even though you want to open it.
Sure.
So we got to figure out who can legally open it, who's going to contribute, and what is the overall strategy here. And this ties really into our philosophy, why having a comprehensive plan really does matter for people,
Yep.
whether you're the parent or the grandparent. We want to make sure that you come in, you meet with our team. The first meeting is always to get to understand your current situation. What are we trying to accomplish? And what are our concerns? And once our team understands this, we can then create a detailed plan for you and your family to make sure you're doing the best thing and that the strategy works best for you, because everyone's different. Everyone's situation's different.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's before we go, let's go over the key takeaways. What are the key takeaways here, David?
Well, just because it's new doesn't mean it's simple, right? Rules
Sure.
matter.
Yeah.
The rules matter here,
Yeah.
especially the hierarchy. And grandparents need to be very cautious. You don't want to just jump in until you understand how these plans work. And then we want to coordinate everything with the family
Yeah.
to make sure that we're doing it properly. Just because you can open an account, Tony, doesn't mean you should.
Right.
Right?
That goes for almost any type of financial investment or account or strategy
Yes.
or financial tool, right?
Yeah, because the IRS isn't very forgiving when it comes to paperwork.
Oh, no. You don't want that monkey on your back. That's why, David, I can't stress enough for our listeners and viewers out there, David, you have such a great team there at SRS Wealth Management. Your
Yes,
team
we
is
do.
fantastic, and I know you love to hear from people. So before we go, for people who want to look into this, and they should, if they want to help their kids out, maybe take advantage of that $1,000. But you want to look at, okay, what's the tax situation? How does this account fit in with my other estate planning or legacy planning or financial planning or even retirement income planning, especially if you're a grandparent? It all ties together, and you need to make it part of the plan, and you need to have a plan. And so for people who already have a plan, but maybe need a second opinion or have questions about this or need to get a plan in place, how can they get a hold of you? I know you offer a no charge, no obligation consultation, correct?
Yeah, and Tony, you really hit the nail on the head. When we meet with people, what we found is that 99% of the people we meet with don't have an actual written plan. What they have is a collection of brokerage accounts and statements.
Sure.
But
I've got a 401k. I've got a plan.
Yeah, or maybe they have rental income from a property,
Yeah.
but they don't have a clear, coordinated
Or
strategy.
I have a stock portfolio. I've got a plan.
Yeah, that's not a plan. And I ask people that a lot of times. I say, "Is this your plan?" And they look at me like, "Well, yeah." And I'm like, "Well, that's not a plan. It's just
Right.
a bunch of accounts." And so you're absolutely right, Tony. What we do here is we sit down, we get to know you, we understand your situation, and then my team and I go back and we analyze everything that you've given to us and everything we talked about, and then we create a clear, coordinated, written retirement plan and a strategy for investing and creating income, not only now, but into the future. And so for those of you that would like your complimentary visit with my team and I, please call the office, 619-460-9433. Again, 619-460-9433, or visit our website, srswealthmanagement.com, right behind me there.
Yep.
And you can kind of get an idea of what we do, how we do it. We've got some great videos, a bunch of great informational, educational information, and you can schedule an appointment directly through our website. So would love to meet with you and your family. My team, like you said, is an amazing team. I'm so blessed to work with these amazing women and men that truly care about helping people. And so for those of you that are not sure, please come in. There's no obligation. We'd love to help you and create a plan for you and your family.
Excellent. Well, David, great show today. A great topic. A lot of people are wondering about this. You're hearing rumblings. You might read a little bit about it, but helping us further understand what this is and why we need to make it part of our overall plan is great. Again, listeners, viewers, pick up the phone, give David and his team a call, or go to the website, srswealthmanagement.com, correct?
Yep.
All right. And that does it for today's episode of the Retirement Roadmap Show with our host, David Nagy.